Hi there, welcome to Mike Rowe. This is Dirty Jobs. I'd like to make a quick disclaimer about this video. I wasn't paid to make this video by anybody. Definitely not by Draag'Thul, Dwarvish Blacksmith. Today we're going to be reviewing a sword. And we're going to learn a few things about this ancient weapon of war. Boy, oh man, if this thing could talk, what kind of stories do you think that thing would tell you? If this thing could talk. It'd tell you a couple. Let's go through a history of the weapons. Spears were invented in the year 400,000 BC. That's a very time ago. The atlatl, which is a spear, they call it the Kalashnikov of the Stone Age, was invented in 20,000 BC. The humble sword was invented in 5,000. We're looking at this bad boy that's when they came in with this, when they did that. I've used my internet to browse over to the website. We're gonna project that right up here for you on the screen, and check that website out if you have any sword swallowing questions after this, but I'm gonna cover most of them all. Most sword swallowers do not actually swallow the sword, but instead relax the throat enough to allow the blade to slide down the esophagus, to move down their throats by using their throat muscles. I'd like to stop right here and mention I didn't know the throat was a muscle. I thought it was more of a bony cave. So that's good to learn anatomy while we're learning about swords. It's always healthy to learn about two things at once. Another question, can you breathe while swallowing a sword, or do you have to hold your breath? I didn't write the answer down to that one. How deep can you insert the sword? How do you know when you're as far as you can go? That's an interesting one, and I didn't write the answer down, but I would assume you know you're deep enough when it hits you right in the bottom of the stomach meat. You can probably feel it kicking in there like a little sword baby. A sword is a tool judged primarily by what is sharp at it, how sharp you want it. So one good way to check the sharpness on this is you want to take some people use their thumb and they check the sharpness like this, but you don't want to do that. It's gross and it makes skin flakes fly off your thumbs. I suggest, my preferred method is to suggest you take your thumb and you find the good edge of the blade and you just run it nice and down the blade, just like this. Just how you want to check the sharpness. That's a good way to check sharpness on the blade. Now that we check the sharpness of the blade out and we know, hey, we're dealing with a good sharp blade here. We're doing it good. We're going to move on to the next natural question that all you guys and probably maybe some girls have about swords, and that is, how do I swallow one? I'm going to use this sword, this legendary weapon of combat, and I'm going to stick it down my esophagus. Safety warning! Don't try this at home. This is only for professional reviewers only. Some impressions about sword swallowing. My mouth tastes like the underside of a folding chair. It's like licking the Iron Giant's balls. It tastes bad. It's a bad taste. Now that we tested out how to get a sword swallowed, we're going to take it outside and we're going to do some outside chop tests. Here we are in the great outdoors. Let's get down to chopping it. Look at that. How do you think that is from your weapon? Oftentimes the sword was used in combat, so I'm gonna run for, that's a medieval target, and we're gonna see how it faces up in combat. That's not the target. That's a dog. The target's right here. Dog, target. Dog, target. Don't get it mixed up. I'm giving this rusty short sword an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10. It may be what you begin with in RPG games, but in real life, boy does it hit. You're making hits with that. That's a good hitter. Well, I'll tell you, that was one heck of a test. We certainly learned a lot about the medieval forms of battle. That concludes this segment on the medieval sword.